Okay, we're gonna start with the next step here, but before we do, I wanted to remind everyone, make sure you cover your found papers, ephemera, make sure you cover the front and back of your pages. And like I said, I was just using an old dictionary, and I picked out pages that I thought were interesting, had interesting images on, and I kind of liked the placement of some of the images so that I had a lot of room for sketching or drawing and journaling. But for these images, we're going to need to cover them up so that when we start layering on top of this, they'll still be able to be seen. A nice way to do that, you don't need to have painter's tape. In fact, painter's tape can sometimes rip. A post-it note, we can lay that over top, and I can see through it enough to mark off where I want to cut it down. Now, there's not enough sticky on here, so what I might need to do is cut that down and maybe make 2 of these so that you could do it the way it was. I wouldn't have had to cut it down and it would still work. It just would seep under a little bit, but I really like both of these. They're little spinal illustrations. So I'm going to use 2 of the sticky areas here, the sticky section of the Post-it. They also sell glue sticks. That is the same kind of glue used on the back of a Post-it note. I actually have some of that. I'll show that to you in a moment. So now they're covered up, and I can start with my next layer. But I'll show you a few more things. And show you the repositionable glue sticks. Here I have a little shot of what they look like, so that these won't glue them down permanently. I can use what's left of these Post-it notes, again, to kind of mark off and say, all right, well, there's my text. I don't really want that, but I want it to come all the way over here. So I just want to cut right across here to create my mask, to cover that up so it doesn't get painted on. And then I can use my repositionable glue stick here to add some sticky. And now I have a big Post-it note, basically. You wouldn't have to use the Post-it note paper. You could use any paper. And now I'm ready to have the images I would like to be saved covered up, and I'm ready to start my first layer. Now we're going to start layering our color, and you'll need a palette, a couple colors of acrylic paint, a container with some water, a brush, and some matte medium. You can buy a store-bought palette like this, any art supply store, Walmart, anything like that, or you could just use butcher paper from the kitchen. A little bit lower budget, probably more easily available. We will be mixing color. For this one, you don't necessarily have to mix color. I'm just picking 2 kind of earth tones, an earthy kind of yellow color and Venetian red, sort of a brownish red color. Maybe a little too much there, but I will use it later. Now, for, say, you can use it straight if you want. There's really no wrong or right way here, but I want to still be able to see the text as much as possible through my layers. So for like maybe a dime-sized little dollop here of paint, I'm going to add to that, well, at least I planned on adding to that, maybe a 1/4 size little pool of the matte medium, and I'm just going to mix that up. You could do that with a brush. I'm using a palette knife. And this is going to change the opacity. If you used Venetian red straight out of the tube or the bottle, it's going to be very opaque. The matte medium is going to make it a more transparent color. I'm going to go ahead and just thin the yellow down with water so we can see the difference. That will also create more transparency. It'll be thinner though, it'll be a runnier paint. And I'm going to go ahead and just real loosely paint a border in here, sort of like a frame. I'm not going to really worry about my images because I already have them covered up. And you can see how it's sort of almost like watercolor looking. And the difference between the transparency with that and this, you can see how this is still pretty thick, creamy in consistency. Now you could let this dry. I'm not going to. I'm going to start in the middle and I'm going to work my way out. So eventually these colors will maybe blend a little bit. Keep that red nice and pure in the middle. Kind of hold off blending until I'm sort of working out evenly from the middle. So here I am about to kind of, two will come together and it's not real dramatic, but you can see they'll just sort of blend together a little bit. All right, and I will add to each of my sheets I have prepared here with a base layer and just start adding color to this layer, and we're going to add some texture and some more layers of color to this to build a rich surface for our work in our journals to be housed on, to be presented on. You don't have to do the border. I kind of like the border, kind of gives it sort of a formal look, and we're going to be working on top of this. So that's the next step in creating your journal pages. Forgot to mention, you probably want to let this dry before you work on the back, just to keep it from being messy. So while that's drying, I'll prep my next page the same way I just went over. And then when those first layers are dry, then I'll turn them over and I'll do the back.